Darth Vader, the fallen chosen one, hand of the Emperor, and slayer of Jedi. As soon as this 2-meter tall, black-clad angel of death arrived on scene in the Empire, he commanded fear first and respect second. With one of the highest Jedi kill counts in Star Wars history, and the highest rebel kill count in all of the Empire, all the galaxy trembled at the mere mention of his name, Lord Vader. If from the darkness you heard his breathing, you already knew it was far too late. Seemingly the master of fear itself. Was there anything that this monster was actually afraid of? Yes, actually, there were two individuals that Vader feared more than anyone else in the entire galaxy. So welcome friends to the Stupendous Wave, where today we'll be taking a deep character dive into Darth Vader and talking about the two people that he actually feared. The first one may or may not come as a shock to many of you, but Vader was firstly afraid of Obi-Wan Kenobi. We have done a video in the past about how Vader had actually been terrified of Obi-Wan during their duel on the Death Star. Despite the fact that Vader spent the better part of a decade hunting this particular Jedi Master, he was still very much afraid of him. Vader had nightmares of their duel on Mustafar many times, and even though he would consistently turn to pain and fear into rage in order to fuel his power, there was a part of Anakin that was still very much afraid of Obi-Wan's skill, not to mention the fact that Obi-Wan was able to beat him already. The fact that Kenobi had been able to outlast and outsmart a young and very powerful chosen one back in the day left Darth Vader with a certain spike of fear within his heart whenever he thought of Kenobi. However, this fear was quickly overshadowed by pure hatred. In his mind, he wondered that since he couldn't defeat Obi-Wan on his full power and with a better body, how could he hope to face the Jedi Master in his current, more limited state? These questions burned within Vader's mind along with rage, and he would devote himself of every single day to honing his skill to perfection. With every Jedi he cut down, he constantly compared their skill to Kenobi's and matched his skill to boot. Eventually, when he was forced to give up his search on Obi-Wan, Vader didn't pay him any more mind for a while, although he would still reminisce that he wouldn't be able to get his revenge. This wasn't until Obi-Wan quite literally came to him another decade later on the Death Star. Vader's iconic line, "I feel a presence I haven't felt since," and his voice trails off before he sharply turns and strides off to find Kenobi as he meets him lightsaber in hand, rage fueled within his heart, but fear still held his grip. Of course, Darth Vader is set to face off against Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Obi-Wan series. Still, this does not change the fact that Darth Vader does hold some fear and respect for Obi-Wan, even though he's the individual that he hates most in the galaxy besides himself. When he faced Vader on the Death Star again, questions raced through his mind. Questions like, after all these years, why has he come now? Does he know something that I do not? Does he have a power that I do not wield? Can I defeat him? However, after the two prodded each other's defenses and had a few paces with the lightsaber, Vader's realization came to him. Ben Kenobi was a shadow of his former self and no longer held the skill and power of the general of the Clone Wars. Your powers are weak, old man. I feel as though that line was more of an outward realization than a taunt to Obi-Wan. I feel as though Darth Vader finally realized that he could defeat Obi-Wan in that moment, and he certainly did. But after his saber struck true, and he found himself simply cutting through the robes of his former master, the fear returned yet again. He wondered if it had all been a trick, or perhaps Kenobi was already dead, and he had just been fighting a specter of his imagination. In Darth Vader's final moment with Kenobi, where he was set to feel a massive wave of triumph and victory over the Jedi Master, all that he was left with was the same fear. The second individual that Vader feared should come as no surprise, but of course it was none other than the Emperor Darth Sidious himself. However, in the psyche of Darth Vader, there is still very much a twist here, and Vader did not fear him for the reasons that many of you may think. Yes, the Emperor held great power in the Force and could easily overwhelm the Dark Lord of the Sith and Vader with his Force lightning, but these were feats that Vader mostly respected more than anything else. Darth Vader feared more the prospect of actually losing Palpatine, whether by the Emperor's death or by his own removal from service. Vader, of course, lost it all previously. After losing Padme and the Jedi Order, Vader felt that without the Emperor, he would have nothing left. He would be nothing, a man with no purpose. Should Sidious go, Vader felt that so would his own purpose in this galaxy, his status in the Empire, and his mission out to do the Emperor's bidding would all crumble. We have to remember that after the collapse of the Jedi Order and the death of Padme, this is all of Vader's purpose in one location and in one person. And should Sidious eventually die, so would all of these things for Vader. And this is why Vader was so deathly afraid of Palpatine, not because of his sheer command over the Force or knowledge over the dark side, but because of the fear of losing him. These prospects are what Darth Sidious had convinced Vader of when he was trying to get his apprentice to get out of his depressive slump. Very early on in Darth Vader's career, when he was first within his suit, Vader was incredibly depressed and grew increasingly more withdrawn from everything and everyone around him, finding more comfort and camaraderie with his stormtroopers, as they too were forced to wear helmets. Eventually, Palpatine ordered that his apprentice needed to stop moping around and focus on the future of the Empire. By harnessing his pain into rage, he would become strong and lead the Empire into greater heights. By giving Darth Vader these assignments to do exactly that, he would start to associate his purpose with his service to the Empire and his service to Palpatine. Vader's psyche is a broken one, and he does not fear things in a traditional sense as anybody else would. Many Sith Lords held great fear in the past, but Vader seemed as though he wasn't deterred by anything besides the prospect of losing what he was still able to hold dear to. And unfortunately, in the broken man, in the broken heart of Darth Vader, the only thing that this old crippled man had was the Empire, was Palpatine, was the prospect of gaining more power and serving his Emperor more efficiently. He didn't love Palpatine by any sense of the word, but Darth Vader did feel as though he needed him, and he needed the Empire to feel purpose, to feel anything at all. The Empire was the instrument through which Darth Vader enacted his revenge on the galaxy that had wronged him so many times. This was the means for his psyche to not break completely, and for him to be nothing more than a crippled old man, with no power or purpose to speak of. But anyway, students of the Force, what do you think of this? Do you think that Vader truly feared anything at all, or anyone at all? And did either of these two characters have any surprise for you? What other character studies would you like to see in the future, and what aspects of Vader's psyche would you like to see more delved into on the channel? As of course the Dark Lord returns in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Comment below your video ideas and requests, and as always, may the Force be with you, and we hope that you have a great day.